Today's Morphin Network video is sponsored by Ranger Stop and Pop, which is March 5th to the 7th, 2021 in Atlanta, Georgia, and Ranger Stock Convention, which is now November 11th to the 14th, 2021 in Orlando, Florida. Go to rangerstop.com for more info.
Please don't do it.
Resigned to your fate, I see. Jackpot. You dared to challenge a son of Sparta? Is that your best? This may be fun. You will not forget this devil's power. Might controls everything.
So, Dan, how are you, man?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good.
The show.
Yeah. By the way, I like your background. By the way, very awesome.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. This
Yes.
is my father's shadow box. He was in the Vietnam War, and then that's his flag up there. He passed away several years ago, and that's the black belt I just got, my 5th degree master rank. From,
Nice. Yes.
Little memorial to my father. I wouldn't have been a martial artist without him.
That's just respect. That's respect. And yes, I do relate because I do come from a military family, so relate to that. So hello, guys. Welcome to a very special interview of the Morphin Network. We have myself, me, Ryan, aka Daggerboy, Clement, Red Star here, and we have the Red Quantum Ranger himself from Power Rangers Time Force, Daniel Southworth. How you doing, man? Good, he's good. And also for Devil May Cry fans, yes, it is Vergil himself. So, yes. So let's get this started. So, Dan, how did you get started with acting?
When I was teaching martial arts up north, one of my students had a cousin who was an actor, and I happened to run into him and his agent, and the guy was interested in representing me, his agent at the time, sent me on an audition for the original cattle call casting for Power Rangers to replace the 3 actors. So this is when they were recasting after the first 3 years. So I drove down to Los Angeles, auditioned in my karate gi, did a backflip at the end of the audition, and then about a week later, I got a invitation to screen test for probably I think it was either the Black Ranger or the Red Ranger. Now knowing what I know now about how they cast, it could have been for either of those roles. They were just sort of testing out where they felt that we fit and how we worked together as a group, how we looked as a group. So I was testing with, was that Johnny Bosch? Yeah, I screen tested with Johnny Bosch and Steve Cardenas, and all the others that were involved in that recasting moment.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, like, hey, we were auditioning with legends out there too, so right on. You actually auditioned with legends out there too, so right on.
Johnny Bosch, where Johnny Bosch could do a butterfly twist then. That was when I. So the interesting thing is, I decided that because I was being screen tested for a TV show, my very first audition, and I got that far, that maybe I would come out to Los Angeles and give that career a shot. And then a month or two later, I landed the same role, the Black Ranger, on the live tour show. So Johnny Bosch was doing the television production, and I was doing the live tour show. It's the same character. And by then, I was butterfly twisting. So I was doing that on stage.
Oh, so you were actually a suit actor on the show.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, I was a suit actor for the MCA production of Power Rangers Live, and that went to Australia. It also continued on to Europe and went to Mexico. After I went to Australia and Mexico, I left that production and started working for corporate headquarters as the suit appearance actor. So they wanted somebody who was a stuntman or at least a physical performer who was the real thing. And because I was up for the show and I had spent a whole year touring with the live production, I got hired by corporate headquarters marketing department to go out, do appearances around the country. So chances are, if you went to any of those appearances that were at a Walmart or a Superstore, you may have met me. You know, and I did green, I did black, I did red, blue, and I did all the different seasons. You know, each season would be a new costume, and I'd go out there. And I did that for a while I was trying to get my bearings in Los Angeles, and you know, that was how I paid for acting classes, and I had a few jobs aside from that. And then it was how I was able to afford to go to the right training areas and meet other people who were doing this, and I met a stunt guy, and then my stunt career took off. Especially
Nice.
martial law came into town, and I started working for one of Jackie Chan's choreographers. And it's such a strange thing because of that, the stunt team from the Power Rangers production, I got to know them, and they were happy with my physical ability. So I did a second live tour for them when Fox took over the show, and this time they were involved with that live production, and because of that, I got to start auditioning more for the show as several different characters. I auditioned for the Blue Ranger and Lightspeed Rescue. Didn't get any of those until the Quantum Ranger came around, and then it was Koichi Sakamoto that pushed me through as the Quantum Ranger. I think that there was some disagreement about whether they should hire me to play the Quantum Ranger, which pushed me through. And I'm sure that was because of the fact that I got a chance to work with his crew, live performance, on their production of the live stunt show. It was a live stunt show, so it was not a live stage show like MCA. That was a really huge production. This one was a lower budget production produced by the same live production company, but this was more of a stunt show. So we were all actors with stunt backgrounds, and or martial artists.
Nice.
Wow.
Yes, and it's kind of cool. You actually work with Jackie Chan's people, so right on. I'm a huge Jackie Chan fan too. So
Jackie Chan twice. He's an incredibly nice man. I actually held Jackie Chan outside the window in China for a GQ magazine shoot. Fire.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Funny story there that I can't really tell on air. I can only tell in private.
All right.
But I had
Oh.
the man's life in my hands. It was me and him connected to the same line, and it was up to me to keep him from falling. And that was a surreal moment.
How did you get started with voice acting?
From Devil May Cry. So because I worked on the Power Rangers television show, I met Ruben Langdon there. Ruben was brought in as a stuntman on the show. And in fact, for the first 2 weeks, I worked as a stuntman on the show until I auditioned for the role of the Quantum Ranger, and then they converted me to the actor for the show. They actually had to go back and take me out some of the earlier footage as a stuntman running from some creature. And anyway, that's how I met Ruben Langdon. Worked on the show for a while with Ruben. Ruben asked me to come in and audition for Dante at first. And
Oh.
if I was the actor I was now, maybe I would have maybe I'd have been able to land that Dante role. Dante is a lot of fun to play. But as it turns out, Vergil is a fantastic complement to Dante. And at the time, my experience and ability as an actor and my personality just fit with Vergil. So that's probably why I ended up being cast in that role. And that was one of my, well, aside from doing voiceover for Power Rangers, where you have to do that, you have to actually voice over the action when the character morphs into his or her full suit. I had a little bit of experience at that, so I was able to transition well for the video game and not be, not feel like I was in my element for the voice stuff. That's the only voice stuff I've really done. I've done a few other things. I don't consider myself a voice actor. I think it's pretty cool that if people like my voice, that there are fans out there of Devil May Cry that think my voice is pretty cool. And I gotta tell you, that's a wonderful piece of feedback to get, because for a long time in the beginning of my career, I was told by a lot of casting directors and producers that my voice, I need to work on my voice. Because, you know, just like any industry, sometimes the standard becomes, well, the leading man needs to have the deep, booming voice. And that's not always the case. And what makes a leading man or woman is evolving, and, well, you need to be understood. And I did take a lot of voice lessons to learn voice and diction and pronunciation. And that's the stuff that you're supposed to do as an actor. It was incredibly validating to hear from fans of Devil May Cry that the thing that they really enjoyed about the Vergil character is the way he sounds. And that has given me a lot of confidence moving forward off of that first game, Devil May Cry 3, to own my voice, which is at some point, you need to own your own physicality as an actor. You can't, some actors are incredibly physically talented and can morph and change their appearances and their voices, and some are a little bit more restricted in their range, perhaps. And in my case, it gave me the confidence to feel at home with my own presence, which is the starting point for becoming and owning a character in a production.
Yeah, like from a Power Ranger with the Quantum Morpher, you just trade that to like a blue devilish looking jacket with a huge long blade katana and a slick back hair, silver hair.
Vergil's a much more grounded character than Eric Myers. Eric Myers doesn't become grounded until the very end of his season arc. And if you watch Wild Force, I actually went, I tried to lighten the character up quite a bit and get him to be a little bit more of a smartass. So what happens is, if they were to have continued it to, they almost brought us back for a season 2, I would have turned Eric into a very tongue-in-cheek kind of smartass character as he's become comfortable with who he is, and he doesn't need to be so desperate for coming into his power. He's got it. And then you see the real guy emerge, who is sick and a smartass.
Now, Dan, so you did mention you got into stunts. So can you tell us how the passion for stunt acting happened?
I wouldn't say it was well, with Jackie Chan. I mean, at first I was a Bruce Lee fan. My very first experience or encounter with even knowing who Bruce Lee was in Chinatown. I used to go to Chinatown with my mother almost every weekend. And I was around 5 or 6, maybe 7. And they took me to see Return of the Dragon. And I remember watching that and thinking, wow, this Asian guy is really cool, man. I can't believe how cool this character is. It's gonna suck when he dies. Because that was the conditioning you grow up with when you're an Asian watching, or just any ethnicity really, watching television or film production at that period of time. The ethnic guy always dies. And then about halfway through, I had this realization that this Bruce Lee guy is the star of the movie. Yeah, I was only 6 or 7, so I'm not really following the plot, but I'm realizing that this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen, that this guy is the star of this movie. And, you know, perhaps that, you know, he was so electrifying, and to be a young Asian kid and see that you could be this powerful presence and own your place as a man was incredibly powerful. It was inspiring, just in and of itself, in terms of growing into an adult man who is also ethnic. So then I discovered Jackie Chan. I was like, what is this crazy, ridiculous stuff where he's flipping all over the... That's not even realistic. It's ridiculous. Of course, this stuff isn't as realistic either. None of that movie fighting stuff is realistic. It's what you find out. But I decided when I came to... I just wanted to learn... You know, I wanted to learn how to flip, because Bruce Lee did it in Enter the Dragon. That was it. It wasn't because of Jackie Chan or anything. And so I wanted to learn how to do... And, you know, as a young 20-year-old, I was thinking about coming about to Los Angeles, and I had martial arts experience, and I wanted to be a superhero. I wanted to be an action star superhero, and I figured I better learn all of the elements that takes. So I learned some gymnastics when I was in college, found a place to continue through with my gymnastics training, and in that training center is when I met one of Jackie Chan's choreographers. So you see, it wasn't a passion that I went after. It kind of... There were these circumstances where I just would explore an opportunity. That was an instance where my stunt career took off for a couple of years, and then I had to quit because I had to realize that the only way I'm going to be an actor or a filmmaker, and that's what I call myself more now, because I spend a lot of time writing and trying to produce things with other friends, that it won't be if I continue to follow this path as a stuntman. And that, by the way, was good to do for a while, because it exposed me to film production, and by working with Jackie Chan's choreographer, he mentored me. I became his right-hand guy for 7 years, and we were redesigning action sequences and even altering the story for big studio productions like The Scorpion King and even The New World. We would come in and I got used to expressing ideas to directors about how to change or improve on their vision, which is a scary thing to do if you don't have a lot of film experience. But we were good at what we did, and so that was you can't get an experience like that in any kind of film school or college, or you have to get that hands-on experience. And not that I am disparaging film school or college. I'm in a program. I'm in a directing and writing program at the local community college. So, but the circumstance of everything and the opportunity that I just decided to explore is kind of how I ended up where I'm at. Maybe it took me longer to arrive as an actor than I would have liked, but nevertheless, here I am. And my career seems to be just now starting to catch a little traction. Believe it or not, even though I've got this Power Ranger and Devil May Cry thing, and we'll see how it goes. But now, I've got a ridiculously blasted and completely deteriorated meniscus from all the years of action, so we'll see what that means. It's going to be a lot more just hand techniques. Maybe I'll roll to the left or to the right, come up, kick. We'll see where I'm going to go now, you know. I hope that wasn't, I know that was a long-winded answer, but I hope that gave you all of the information we're looking for.
We heard earlier the Bruce Lee and the Jackie Chan stories, but is there any other influence that got you into the...
By the way, let me just interject real quick. So it was interesting that I started working for Jackie Chan's choreographer because I was flipping and combined the acrobatics with martial arts. And the irony was I found myself doing the stuff that I was sort of, smirking at or, laughing about when I was watching. And it turns out it's incredibly amazing stuff to be able to do, and you have to be incredibly talented to do it. And I'm lucky I had a very short stint at working with them. There were guys there that are 10 times as talented as I am. Sorry.
Cool. what other influence that got you into the world of martial arts?
Well, I was this little Asian kid. I was the only Asian kid on the block, man, and it was the 80s. And,
Oh.
Rough and tumble. I mean, I tell people, like, they go, "Where'd you grow up?" I grew up in San Jose, South San Jose, but right on the road tracks from Monterey Road, and it wasn't necessarily it was a bit rough. It wasn't. It's funny to hear that San Jose was a bit rough, but it gets a bit rough in some places out there. I mean, the girl I knew out there, who's an incredible stuntwoman out here, laughs at me and goes, "You didn't grow up in no rough places. I've been shot at." And I'm like, "Hey, man, I don't know if that's something you want to brag about, but I understand." She grew up in a much rougher area. She grew up in San Jose also, another, no, I think she's Chinese, she's not Vietnamese. I'm half Vietnamese. So, anyway, I was the oldest of 4, and I figured I had better learn how to protect myself and my family. So I started learning martial arts, only for that. It started with wrestling, actually. High school wrestling. It wasn't even high school wrestling, it was junior high wrestling. And before that, it was this freestyle program that somebody told me about. So I went to go learn how to wrestle. I wrestled for 7 years, 2 years in the program. 7 years, a year in the program. Yeah, a year in the program, 2 years in junior high, and then 4 years in high school. I did that first, and there were a lot of bullies off the street. The program I was in was an aggressive wrestling program. They were recruiting kids off the street. Very good for kids on the street, but also a meeting place for all the bullies that you're trying to learn to protect yourself from. And I learned right away, I was pretty good at it. I threw the biggest, toughest bully on the mat in my first encounter with him. And everybody was speaking this thing called Iron Man, where you all stand in a circle, you guys get in, and you stay in if you win. And I threw this guy, I was first up, threw him right on his back, and he was mad. And I think what happened was all the other kids were scared. So I kept going through them, around the circle, beating every one of them, and then thinking, oh my God, I'm coming back to this guy, and he's mad. He's gonna hurt me. Sure enough, I went through all the kids in the circle, came back around to him. He threw me so hard on my head, almost made me want to cry. Mind you, this is like pre-junior high. This is junior high, adolescence, pre-adolescence almost, like slamming around each other in this program. But I learned, it's a really hard way to learn how to handle yourself and deal with fear and deal with tough guys. I became a really good wrestler, and then I went to go seek out my martial arts training, because then I decided I wanted to expand outside. And then I was a full contact Taekwondo fighter for a while. Nothing to brag about. I was good. I won a lot of medals. I didn't stay with it to make any kind of name that I could tout about, but it's not about that anyway. At some point, you realize, okay, I think I'm tough enough. I can handle myself if I need to. And of course, the thing that you realize, I was bouncing for 2 years to make a living when I came to Los Angeles, and what you realize when you're in a few of those more hardcore street fights where somebody's really trying to hurt you is that it doesn't matter what you know, you have to be smart in the moment. You gotta use your brain. Anybody could smack you around. Not expecting. But my buddy, I went to go visit him one night, and some guy, when he wasn't looking, hit him in the face with an elbow.
Damn.
Came around the corner to see where he was. The guy that hit him in the face with the elbow was laid out on the ground, knocked out. And I look up, and he's waving at me because he's on it, because he was an actor also, and he's just way to the hospital to get his lip sewn together with by a plastic surgeon, so he wouldn't have this huge gaping scar. Anyway, I don't know what I just did. I just went off on this long tangent down this rabbit hole, but that's why I started learning martial arts. And the thing that I tell people is, I fought full contact because in my neighborhood, you needed to be a boy. If you were a boy, you needed to be good at a sport, or you were going to get picked on. So I was intimidated and didn't do well at team sports at first. I was horrible at basketball. My dad made me choose between football or martial arts. And I just decided to do martial arts, you know. And I might have excelled at football because I love just slamming into dudes, but I think that was an affectation of trying to learn to be tough, like the other boys in the town I grew up in. Because I realized as a martial artist that you go there to learn to protect yourself from the bullies, but you find yourself surrounded by all the bullies who are trying even worse. What they're after is power over whatever it is. And then you learn after a while, these poor dudes are going through their own crises, which causes them to act the way they do. It's all a very interesting exploration of what it means to be a boy, especially in the 80s growing up, when you had your role models who were ridiculous machismo dudes on screen, taking out hundreds of guys with their shirts off. It's stupid. So,
true that.
I mean, very interesting psychological experience that was. At some point, when I was fighting full contact, I realized I don't like doing this. I don't like doing it. I don't care. I'm good at it, and I'm at an age. It was right as I was about to transfer into adult competition. I'm like, I was fighting black belt, even though I was only a blue belt, because I was just good at it. And I think part of it was coming from just a rougher neighborhood. I was just meaner in the ring. And so they would let me fight black belt, even though I wasn't a black belt. But I was at a place in my competition where I was just saying to myself, I don't like doing this. I don't think I ever liked it. So I don't like to do it anymore. Now, mind you, I still spar. I have a training group of training partners that I teach everything I know to, so I can still move with. And I really enjoy the sparring, but we don't slam each other hard anymore. Which I have to remind them that because we're not hitting each other hard, there's a depth of an understanding of the physical violence that we're exploring as a way to just get exercise that's lost. Because when you get into a ring with somebody and they're coming at you hard, then it's a different game than just playing touch. You know, there's a different element that can change the way the competition goes down. Anyway.
Definitely. And heck, you persevered. So
I know way more about it now and physical confrontation than I probably should.
Yes. So Dan, the next question is now relates to a very well-known role you played. Of course, you won't probably know. So Dan, can you tell us the audition process for Power Rangers?
Well, yeah. I kind of did. At least I explained to you earlier on the process I went through, and that's how it is. I didn't even know I was auditioning for the 6th Ranger, and that may have been some naivete on my part. And some of a bit of the secrecy that goes on sometimes with these shows. But you go in, you audition, you don't know if you did a good job or not, you've done a good job or not, they just put you on tape and they call you back. They go, hey, we're gonna call you back. And that's the only way you know. After a couple of days, a day or two maybe, they call you back and they go, we'd like to bring you in for a second round. Usually you go in for a one audition, then you have a callback where the producers, in television, where the producers are there and the director's there, and then they cast you. This is for guest star roles. It's a little more involved if you're going to audition for reoccurring or starring roles in a television show, because they need to really make sure that you're somebody that can handle what it is they want to sell, okay? So, or embody in their character. But that's not a hard, fast rule, you know. So for this one, because he was the 6th Ranger, he was a reoccurring character. I think I remember auditioning 4 or 5 times. They really put us through the works on that. And again, you don't know you did a good job until you hear that you're being asked to come back. And the final audition was with all of the producers, and that's when you know, okay, this is it. It's, you know, there's nothing you can do. You can't change your strategy. You know, you can't I'm gonna even do a better acting job. There's no such thing. You know, you gotta keep doing it. What it is that you do, you gotta be ready, available in the moment to answer the questions. There are things to understand, in terms of the way a production like this is put together. When they talk to you and they ask you questions, you gotta have some personality. You gotta you gotta be kindly. You know, you can't be a dickhead. And as it was, they thought I was a little too intense. I didn't know that then, so I was just this intense dude. And Koichi saw that and he just liked it. But Koichi had the benefit, or at least I had the benefit, of having worked with Koichi's people before this film. And that's why he pushed me through for this. I was very lucky to have him in my corner. I don't think I would have been cast as the Quantum Ranger if Koichi wasn't the executive producer by that point.
Yes. So, guys, Koichi Sakamoto is the reason why this awesome dude is our Quantum Ranger. Keep in mind, guys.
I owe him, because of him, I have the confidence to continue pursuing an acting career, if I have anything of an acting career at the moment. So I owe that to him.
Yes.
So, what's the experience like filming your stunt and fight choreography in Power Rangers?
It was like being Jackie Chan for it was awesome. I would show up, they'd have stuff choreographed because they knew I could do some of my own stuff, and I had worked a little bit as a stuntman with them first. I was afforded a lot more latitude in terms of what I could choose to do, what I was allowed to collaborate on. I mean, most of the time, you get actors who are not really versed in filmmaking stunts, and that's a different thing than being somebody who studied martial arts. Andy Cheng, my mentor, who was Jackie Chan's choreographer, used to tell me if they had a joke in China, there's a saying that the two things that will kill your day in terms of making your shot on time are children and babies and animals, because you can't control them. You can't, you have to just shoot whatever the baby's gonna do, hope that and wait, and same with the animals, right? Well, unless they're incredibly trained, but you can never tell, right? So he said the joke in China is it's three things: babies, animals, and martial art masters. Because they come onto set and they hurt everybody and they don't understand and they do everything too hard. Of course, it's probably changed a little bit these days, but it's pretty funny because whenever I run into somebody on set and they're a karate person, and I say that as a generic term, and they just don't have any experience for how it is to film action versus doing it, they either hurt themselves or people get hurt or they're just horrible. So it's not enough to just be a martial artist. You have to be somebody who understands filmmaking process, which is easy to do. You just go, and nowadays you can go and videotape a bunch of fight scenes with your friends, mimic the stuff you see on TV, and you'll learn really quick how to be a performer on film as it relates to fight choreography. But I digress from that. So, what's the question again? I was talking about, what was I talking about?
You were talking about your experience in filming your stunts and fight choreography.
Yeah, you were asking me about that. So, on set of Power Rangers. So, I had a lot of experience by the time I got on there. And it's a wonderful thing to have them go, what do you think about this and that? And to say, can I do this instead? And I could communicate with them with, I can't do that piece, but I can do this. Whereas a lot of times you're just asked to do a little bit and then thank you very much, go back to your trailer, and then the stunt guy's out there doing everything else for you. I got a chance to do more of my action. It's interesting when you think about it, the Quantum Ranger in costume doesn't appear as much as I do in the Silver Guardian outfit doing my own action. I mean, there is actually a lot of footage with the Quantum Ranger fighting because, of course, they got to get their stunt guy in there, and he's excellent, and they put together some amazing fight choreography, of course, with each other. That's what they do. So that was what it was like. It was a lot of fun. My most memorable experience is in Movie Madness, when the scene right before he turns in, he gets transformed into Tarzan and sort of, I guess, carted off in an interdimensional world, the movie world where he's Tarzan. The fight right before that, Koichi said to me, what do you want to do today? You want to do Jet Li? You want to do Bruce Lee? Or do you want to do Jackie Chan? What style do you want? And I just thought that was the coolest thing. be able to go, yeah, what style do we want to do today? So my favorite moment about that though was the AD came up and said, dude, just do John Wayne, would you, so we could get out of here on time. And I liked the idea of breaking form and just doing a good old John Wayne fight. Just good old haymakers and uppercuts. Just bam, right crosses. I just thought that was just a really cool embodiment of the character. He gets right to the point. He doesn't like to fool around. So I said, let's do John Wayne. Like, no. You could do Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, or Jet Li. You could do John Wayne. Jackie Chan it is.
Do you have any fun behind-the-scenes stories while on set on Time Force that you could tell?
I can't remember. I'm not. I mean, I've told a few stories over and over again, and the stories that I tell are the only stories that I remember. I mean, I would show up to set, sit in my trailer, and wait to come out and kick ass and chew up the other actors. My character was so at odds with them. It was just fun to just come at them. So I don't have a lot I could say except for we did the Forever Red episode, and there's that whole scene where we're in the spaceship talking about the Sea of Tranquility on the moon, and Jason David Frank kept sounding like Tweety Bird.
Nice.
Me, that's all I could stop laughing. None of us could stop laughing. Point, they finished shooting my angle and said, you can go step aside now. But I mean, that stuff happens to actors all the time. Not just him. There were several moments where I'm flubbing my lines, we're all flubbing our lines. That stuff can be fun and funny. When I came on, I was just like this, guest star characters in television shows they can be a bit lonely because you come into somebody else's world and you're playing a character in that episode, and then you move on. Well, I was sort of like that with my cast. We got along, and we had fun, and slowly it started to open up with them as I was on the show more. But for most of that, I was the Sixth Ranger, man. I was actually just a little bit of a loner. I'm like that anyway. So, plus I naturally get along with the stunt people because I just know them. And so I don't tend to gel with cast as I do with stunt people. And nowadays, now that I'm doing a lot of guest starring roles whenever I get work, I just find it to just, I'm my own guy, and sometimes I know the stunt people, and it's just because you know them, and so you end up gravitating to them in terms of who you're hanging out with. There was an actor on. I really enjoyed working with the actor on NCIS New Orleans. I did an episode of NCIS New Orleans, and I was working closely with one of the other actors there, and he was awesome. He was great.
Nice.
Did you expect your Power Rangers season to become this big and become very popular?
No, I didn't.
Really?
No.
Really?
I think
Whoa.
I can thank Netflix for that too, for reviving it. I had no idea. Koichi ran into me once and he said, "Hey, we're having it was like only the second Power Morphicon ever." And he's like, "Hey, we're having this thing called the Power Morphicon. You should come down, man. You should come down. People like the stuff you did. You have some fans." And I'm like, "I have some fans?" I was like, "Yeah." People actually want to talk to me and see me because he's like, "Yeah, you should come down. It's an interesting experience." So I came down. And then, at the time, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, "Yeah, I'll sign autographs. Just come on over." They're like, "Would you like a table?" I'm like, "Sure, I'll sit down at this table." And I was just signing autographs for free all day long. Anybody wanted to see that I didn't understand how this thing worked, so I was just signing autographs all weekend long. And I still, to an extent, will do some of that, just because to me it's part of the experience. So, and it's I don't know if a lot of actors understand this. Some actors look at the whole convention thing as they look down at their nose at it. They disdain it a little bit, but it's an interesting experience to realize how much the work you did is appreciated, and to the depth that it's appreciated. And I find that invigorating as an actor. Sometimes I think it's good to hear that stuff.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Too much of it inflates your ego too much, though. So you have to watch out for that too.
But hey, Dan, like, just a personal thing. Like, you guys were the first season I watched on TV. The first season of Power Rangers. Your season was the first season I watched on TV on cable.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I actually grew up with you guys. So again, thanks for an awesome childhood.
Yes.
You're welcome. I'm glad. I have my heroes that I grew up with, and I feel the same way. So I understand, and I'm glad you found something that you enjoyed.
Yes. What's your advice to any aspiring actor or voice actor or actress?
It's a complex answer, man. You gotta make sure you do it because you love it. That's not to say that if your goal is just to make a lot of money and be famous, that you can't do it. You can do it that way too. You can do it for that too. But the reason I just say make sure you love it, because then you'll focus on the craft of it, and you'll be excited by the craft of it and the crafts people first and foremost. And it can be an incredibly humbling experience. Not everybody gets to take the elevator. Some people have a really quick rise. Sometimes that can be a problem because you're not prepared. You're not mature enough to handle everything that gets thrown at you when you suddenly become some superstar. Not that I was ever a superstar. And I think the rest of us, sometimes, a lot of us have to take the stairs on that way up, and that's not a bad thing. The thing to remember is there are pros and cons for each. It's a long way up the stairs, but you learn a lot. You mature, you develop. Sometimes you can become a much better actor than you ever would be if you got that shot right to the top. You got that straight ride. Everybody's in a different place. If I would have hit and become an extremely successful, I can't even say that, because the truth is I am a successful actor. That's the other thing to realize. If you're working and making a living, you're a successful actor. If you've done a few things, you're successful. It's incredibly hard to get that far. So, but what I should rephrase and say is, if I had become incredibly famous and skyrocketed into that 1% of the acting community or industry that is like a Tom Cruise or something early on in my career, I'm sure I would not have been ready for it. I'm sure I would have crashed and burned just as quickly as I rose. And I know that because I got a really quick rise in the stunt world, and I got to experience what that's like, having that incredible amount of wherewithal in your career too soon. So I'm actually very happy that it took me as long as it's been taking me. I'm in a place now where I'm actually very happy to play character roles if that's what I do. It's just an evolution in the direction that I've gone. And I say all that because that's the thing to keep your eye on, what it is you're doing, why it is you're doing it. I remember when I was starting out that I was getting a lot of rejection. It's just part of the process. No, we don't like your voice. No, you're not Asian enough was the thing. It wasn't, this is in the 90s. I wasn't stereotypical Asian enough, or I wasn't white enough. Just leading man classic for that era. And it's just what you deal with now. Now it's great because of the more diversity that the industry is going for. I'm actually auditioning more for those roles that I was wishing I would get when I was younger. Anyway, so I had to make a pact with myself that I could still do this when I'm 60. Whether or not I have gotten to whatever that moment is where you go, yes, finally arrived, I'm finally successful, finally there. I am everything I wanted to be, right? It doesn't happen the way you think it does. I'm lucky I was on Power Rangers before my grandma and my passed away. To me, I have to realize that's incredibly lucky that I got on some show and they got a chance to see me on TV, you know. But they don't know. For me, I'm like, yeah, but that's not a show that really makes your career in the hierarchy of the industry and the climb of being on a prestigious quote-unquote show, right? There's this whole climate you have to negotiate. So it's incredibly complex. There's a lot of politics. There's a lot of ways to play the game. My very first piece of advice is make sure you think it's something you love enough or are passionate enough that you can withstand all of the abuse you're going to take, as with any job or any undertaking, life undertaking. And the second thing was, you don't have to be a schmoozer out here. And that was the first thing I used to hear. Oh man, you gotta learn how to network, you gotta learn how to talk to people, meet some people. And it can come off disingenuous because you have an agenda and people can smell it. And that agenda is desperately wanting to be wherever it is you think you're supposed to be. That I had to learn that that's not the way for me. Some people are so charismatic and they're good at it and you don't even know that they have an agenda. And some people don't have an agenda, they're just charismatic. Me, I wasn't quite in that. I had to find out where my home base was. And my home base tended to be trying to be more genuine. Sometimes I'm really funny. At the time, I wasn't as funny because I was incredibly intimidated by this whole process. I tend to be funny nowadays, which surprises me that people laugh at the things I say sometimes. And a little more sarcastic and but in fun, because I'm comfortable with myself. And that wasn't something I could arrive at without realizing that whenever I meet somebody, I either have a genuine connection with them or I don't. And that's the thing to establish first. This is just for the sanity of your own mind. And this is I'm only relaying what I discovered that works for myself, okay? But I think that those are important things to think about as you embark on a career in this industry. And that's what I would say.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah, wow.
Great advice, guys. So listen to Dan's advice.
Yes.
So my last question is: any upcoming projects you want to tell your fans, or you could tell?
I have, during this unfortunate crisis, written a pilot that seems to be enjoyed by a few people. A few people I've sent it out to have said, hey, this is pretty good. We'd like to show it to some people. And I just said, sure. I have a meeting on Monday with a producer who's interested and has some opportunities potentially for this pilot TV show. So that's kind of cool. Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, it's not like I've got a meeting directly with Netflix or something like that yet, or NBC. It's a long process. But maybe they'll have a perfect place for it or a home for it. Maybe I'll just sell them the idea and move on in my own direction. That's what's going on now. This is something that the fans and followers out there can look forward to as something more concrete. I am working on developing an IGTV series, 3 to 5 minute episodes of something really cool that will go for 10 episodes, just as a project that I can work on. You know, get my own writing ideas going, and ideas on filming and directing and staging and cinematography and mise en scene and all that kind of filmmaking stuff going, and then just put it on IGTV for the hell of it and see if people like it. And the idea is, if people like it and we're actually as honed in at our craft as we hope to be, perhaps that could turn into something bigger. So that's something to look forward to right now. Other than that, just like any actor, I mean, that's me proactively trying to move my career forward. That's what I'm doing for myself, and you will see some of that stuff. Other than that, as an actor who has an agent, I'm just waiting for the next audition to come down the road, and hopefully it's going to be a good one. I was almost cast in a Hulu series for an awesome show as the as the lead for one of the episodes, and it would have been a role of a lifetime. The chance to play a Vietnamese character who's a Texan. Vietnamese. I have relatives in Texas, man. It was just really cool, and it was a really cool character. I didn't get chosen for it. I think it was down to me, maybe a couple other actors, and they decided to go a different direction. But the upshot on that is that I'm in that place now where I'm getting those opportunities. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Another opportunity, another character, and another show like that to come along. This time they'll choose me. This time I'll be the guy who embodies the character they envision.
Awesome. All right, guys. So before we go to you guys' questions, we have a special guest, one of our own, Leo here, our Devil May Cry expert. So Leo, take it away.
Hey Dan, how you doing today, man?
Good, man. Thank you.
Good. So I have a few questions before I get to Devil May Cry. So you came back in 2 crossovers during Wild Force, Forever Red and Reinforcements from the Future. Can you tell us your experience like doing both crossovers and what the chemistry was like with the new cast?
It's interesting. I mean, a lot of times for most of my experience in Power Rangers, the other actors that I was working with, because I had worked on the show or worked in affiliation with the show for 10 or 15 years before I finally got cast on it as an actor. My experience is that the actors didn't really understand the structure of the show and the agenda of what was going on in terms of how the production company was making the product and what they were doing with it. So that happened when I came on to Time Force. I would sort of fill some of the men on stuff, but you realize they have to experience, they have to discover that stuff for themselves. I mean, I remember telling a buddy of mine, dude, this is not a show that is going to turn you're not on the map just because you start on this show. In the hierarchy of the television world, this is low rung on the totem pole, low rung on the ladder, man, bottom of the totem pole. Save your money. You're gonna have to now prove that you're not a cheesy actor because you have this on your resume. And he came back years later. He said, "Man, the bottom just fell out on me afterwards. I thought that I was just gonna go upwards from here." And he confirmed to me that what I was telling him was a sound perspective on the situation. So when I do these crossovers, same thing. When I did those crossovers, running into actors, inexperienced. That was the thing about Power Rangers that was amazing. It was a chance to star on a TV show with zero experience. Don't ever get that opportunity to carry a show. But I knew that, and I knew that from having a little more experience. My co-stars by the time I got on the show, and then doing the crossovers and seeing the whole thing, recycling with them. That's what it was like. But there were a few actors, there always are, that were as experienced as I was, and it was fun to work with them. And the girl who played Allison Kipperman, who played Taylor, was fun to work with. She just knew. She knew also. She had a lot of experience, and it was a lot of fun working with her. And I loved working with Jason Font. I loved my dynamic with Jason Font. So by the time I had come back, and Jason had a few shows under his belt before he got onto Rangers. So and Aaron is an incredible actor. I mean, all of my cast members. Michael Flapon went on to the rise of a pretty big career there for a little bit. But we were lucky. Time Force was full of a bunch of really cool people. So I hope that answers your question.
And I answered perfectly, so thank you for that. I was talking to Ryan about, I'm like, do you think Eric and Taylor from Time Force and Wild Force actually got together and had a baby, and now their kid's a Power Ranger now? Speaking of that, Ken asked, Dan, would you say Eric and Taylor got married at this point?
I can't say, because there's nothing that indicates that they go off together, except that perhaps you can assume they may have shared a relationship by the end of Wild Force, but there's nothing that suggests they commit in any long-term way. You know, I mean, my own experience is that they're both soldiers, and they're both headstrong, domineering character types, butt heads, and that doesn't always lead to a long-lasting relationship. But my wife is like that, and we butt heads. We're married for 7 years. So you can extrapolate from that your own fairy tale.
Now let's go into Devil May Cry real quick. So you've been part of the Devil May Cry series for almost 16 years. Did you ever expect for your character Vergil to be one of the most popular characters in the franchise?
Again, no. I just thought I was some auxiliary character because Dante was the star of the show. So I mean, yeah, I don't go in anticipating the character to be. The joke I always make is more screen time for me, please. Come on. But I want more screen time. Come on. But I don't go in there anticipating, oh, this character is going to be the big thing or that. I'm just trying to find the character.
Right.
Bring the character to life as best I can, and I find that it's a wonderful thing when the character becomes really popular and beloved. I would love to believe that that's because I come in there and I'm so amazing at my craft, but I also know that at the very least, at the minimum, 50% of all of that adornment of all of that love of the character, from the writing and the development, from the people who imagine the character in the first place. So,
right.
If I'm lucky enough to have 50% of the influence, then that's pretty cool.
Right on.
I didn't expect him to be huge. I expected him to die at some point. In fact, he goes to hell. So at the end of that, you know, they'll do 4, and they did 4. They did 4 without me. And I was just like, oh, well, yeah, that character's gone. That's just another character that dies. That's what I do. I play those kinds of characters. And then when 5 came around, I was surprised. I was really surprised. And I got to say, it was nice. It wasn't so secretive so that I could have participated in all of the award shows that those guys did. You know, they excluded me from all the parties because I was supposed to be a big secret. So. Sucks.
Funny enough, my next question was about Devil May Cry 5. So, like, it got announced at E3 in 2018. Did you expect for Vergil to come back when it was originally announced?
At E3 in
2018, because they had showed the first teaser trailer.
I think they had reached out to me and said they're thinking about doing this and would I participate? And I think I said yeah, and I had to be quiet. I had to be quiet about it. I almost blew it, I think, in one interview, but part of learning how to do this whole thing, you know, it's part of how social media and the availability of information and people filming you all the time has changed things. You have to be more vigilant, and that can be a hard thing to do. It doesn't surprise me that a lot of actors who are very successful, or I shouldn't just say successful, who have a little bit more fame, are secluded, or seclude themselves.
Right on.
Just
all right, then.
You need a chance to be just a normal human being who's fallible too. You gotta use.
Speaking of which, like, so you work with, and Young Bosch came back as Nero. So I know you guys worked on a movie together, Broken Path or Attack of the Yakuza. So what was that reunion like with Young Bosch?
That was crazy, man. That was a 2-week shoot. We all got our asses kicked. We brought in guys who were actors who could also do their own stunts. I remember one day I went to set and I started crying because I was just like, man, I can't do this. I did the show. I didn't really like the script, but I did it because Koichi was the director, and I thought it would be interesting to do a movie that is 80 minutes long and 70 minutes of it is action. There's maybe 10 minutes of dialogue in the whole movie. It was an interesting experience to me. I look at that and I'm just like, it all looks like spaghetti to me after a while. I can't make heads or tails. I feel like you get desensitized by the intensity and the amount of action that goes on in that show. And we were all choreographing our own stuff. Koichi brought in guys who could just handle their own choreography, put their own stuff together, and they would shoot. It was a brilliant planning on making an act. He planned that brilliantly. He scheduled and planned that brilliantly because it was an incredible amount of action. You can't get that done without having people who know what they're doing. However, dramatically, from a dramatic standpoint, I feel like it's overwhelming. And to me, it's a clear example of how it's not the action alone that makes a story. You actually have to have a compelling story, and you need to build that into what you're filming. You know, you can have a compelling story written out, and the actors can play some of those bits and pieces, but cinematically it needs to be built into what the audience sees, and that requires allocating more time to that than just getting through the quick scene and throwing in the action. Right? Perhaps that great man may completely disagree with me. Maybe he had a completely different agenda for it. And yeah, I mean, you could say that I'm kind of critical of this man's work, who I also am very grateful to for giving me the confidence to have any kind of career in this. But that's what art's about, man. That's what art is. It's okay to be critical. I don't think he's an idiot. I don't go walk around saying, "What a piece of shit he made." Although those words could be used to describe a movie in a review. Okay? So, there you go. Awesome, incredibly difficult movie to make because of how much action there is. With no time. And this is when you realize you need a stunt double. Can't throw yourself into. Johnny had to go to the hospital at one point.
The part where he hit him in the head?
No, he cracked his head on something when he got thrown into it. So you can't do that too. You can't do that. It's not efficient filmmaking. It has nothing to do with how tough you are. We were all tough and we went through it. But it's incredibly taxing. And when you have, and this is what I learned on Power Rangers, and I tell people all the time, it's okay to have a stunt double, because when they see you falling over the rail into the ocean, they see you from the long shot, they can't even tell it's you. Well, why put yourself through all of that and then have to get out of the water and then go back and then you have to do an intense acting scene? Then you don't have the energy, and that's the thing that people don't realize. Jackie Chan's choreographer had to do a character one day. He came back and we were laughing at him. He's like, "Oh, I'm so exhausted, I'm so tired." On a bad movie we did a long time ago. We go, "What happened?" "Oh, I was acting today." And we started laughing. "Oh, you were acting today and you're exhausted," because he used to make fun of us for being exhausted. You know, "Let's go out, let's get something, let's have a drink afterwards." "No, man, this is a full day of scenes. I'm just gonna go home and relax." "Oh, you're such a wussy, man." "Oh, look who's the wussy now. Full day of acting. Come on, let's go out, let's have a drink." "Oh no, I'm tired." Yeah, it's mentally and emotionally taxing to try to do a good job, to try to be a real character in that shot. Just mentally and emotionally taxing as it can be getting your ass handed to you in a fight scene where you gotta hit the ground, slam your head on this, do all that stuff.
Right on. Yes. So guys, we reached the point. We'll ask some fan questions. So
we can go over a little bit, you guys. It's okay. I'm not. Don't worry that we're over on time a little bit. It's okay. We'll answer questions. We'll get through everybody. Let's do it.
Awesome. All right. So Dan, some fans just want to say hi. So let's go to them. So Thomas Branca says, "Hey Dan."
Wait a second. Did you have a Devil May Cry question? You did. You had your Devil May Cry questions, right?
Yeah, I asked about did you expect Vergil to come back and you and Young Bosch coming back together after beating hell out of each other? You're good.
Awesome.
So what's going on now?
Oh, so some fans want to say hi to you and asking you some quick questions. You're right. So yes. So Thomas Branca says, "Hey Dan." "Hey Thomas."
"Hey Thomas."
Our youngest fan, Aiden McCartney. "Hey man." Says, "Hey."
Hello, Adrian.
And then, yeah. And then Ranger Bolt says he loves you or she loves you.
I love you too.
Let's see. Ryan Shimbu. Oh, you're new. Hello, Dan and the Morphin. I hope you're all doing good. We're doing good.
That's good. It's not down here yet.
Let's see. Maurice John Cardoso, my good friend, says hello. Hello.
Hola.
Pratamish Musakor. Sorry, I butchered your name, bro. Greens from Mumbai, India. Quantum Power.
I've been to Mumbai.
Nice.
Hello. Nice to meet you, Pratamish.
Yes.
Did I say that correctly, Pratamish?
Pratamish Musarkar.
Pratamish Musarkar.
Oh yeah.
Laughing right now. Awesome.
Tony Izzo says, rest in peace to your father, Dan.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And then Zilla Plisken says, hi, Dan. Oh, and Paratimus has a question. Have you seen any episodes or clips of the Time Ranger? And also, did you study your Sentai counterpart, Naoto?
Yes. I did see clips. I was allowed to see clips. I did not study everything that he did. I looked at some of the choices he made, and I remember sitting down and watching about half an hour of it, and just going, so what's he doing? What's going on with him? How's he playing the intensity? But after a while, realizing that you have to realize that they rewrite the story to fit the American audience or the Western audience, because I'm sure it played outside of America as well. I remember reading the contracts; it was going to play everywhere except Japan. So at some point, what I have to go with as my source material is the script.
I see. Oh, and also thank you to the writers for not killing him off like in a Sentai counterpart.
You can thank Koichi.
Thank you, because yes. Thank you, Koichi.
Thank you.
I could not handle another Power Ranger die on screen, so thank you, Koichi.
Yeah, because when this guy got killed off screen, I legit cried. So
Yeah, they were really pushing the mature content and mature storyline there. I thought that was cool.
Yes. Let's see. JD Parks. Hey man, Dan, will you ever return to Power Rangers? It would be awesome to see what Eric's been up to since the Wild first team up. And in your opinion, where do you think Eric is at now? Oh, great question.
I was asked to return for the big reunion.
Megaforce?
Say again?
Yeah.
They asked me to return for Megaforce. I unfortunately could not. I can't flagrantly do a non-union show after this union. I'm a part of this union. This union takes care of us. And it's a privilege to be a part of the Screen Actors Guild. Because of the way they take care of us with our medical benefits and our pension and health. And I felt like that would be disrespectful to go back and do that. And that I had said to them at the time, if you give me a union contract somehow, you don't have to pay me a lot. They have, to do the union contract, they owe a certain amount of franchise fees, and it's more of a pain in the ass. I knew that they were like I can't come back and do it without you guys. I'm sorry. If they somehow, and it did used to be a union show. It was a union show when I worked on it. But at the time, the other big company came in and decided to take it to New Zealand and make it non-union. For a while, I heard they were going to come back to Valencia, and I was thinking, wow, that'd be cool. If they came back to Valencia or somewhere in Los Angeles to film, I would get aboard if they asked me to. I mean, again, I'm at a place where I'm a Screen Actors Guild actor, and that's a good thing because it ensures that whatever program I'm going to work on is probably a higher quality program. It's just where I'm at, and that's what's going on. The answer is yes. I don't see it working out though, because of those reasons. Now, what was the end of that question? There was a third part of the question.
Third part. Let's see. There you go.
Where do you think Eric is now? I imagine Eric is a guy who he's one of those soldiers that he's a Han Solo type.
Han Solo.
He's a Han Solo type. Except that I imagine Eric's probably got some kind of space trailer somewhere. He's just hanging out, taking odd jobs as a mercenary, perhaps. Maybe not even doing that.
Let's see. Let's go. So Terrell Diggs, Daniel Southworth. What's your favorite Power Rangers time for this episode?
Oh, the introduction of the character, of course. And if you ask me why, I'll tell you it's simple. Lots of screen time. Those are my favorite episodes. They were fun. They were awesome.
Right on. Matthew Cameron Flores. Hello, Daniel DeManuel. Hello.
Hello. I like that, Daniel DeManuel.
Yes. Everett Sanchez. Who would win in the fight between the Dragonzord or Q-Rexord? Oh my god.
I don't know how to answer those questions anymore. I really don't. Of course I'm going to say the Q-Rex.
Right on. Okay, let's see. Brandon R. Willman. Hello. Big fan of your work. You're a great actor and a great ranger. Aw.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Samuel Chibilski.
Hello from Brazil.
Oh, hello from Brazil.
Hello, Brazil.
Timothy Dakis.
Go there and see everybody. That could be a lot of.
Yes. Timothy Dakis. Hi, Daniel Southworth. I met you in Miami, Florida, SuperCon in summer 2016. Oh.
Hello. Good to say hello to you again.
Yes.
I see a picture of you, so good to see you again.
Yes. Johnny Goddard. Hey Dan, you did a great job playing Eric Myers, a Quantum Ranger in Power Rangers Time Force from Johnny Goddard from Bend, Oregon.
Thank you, man. I'm glad you enjoyed that work.
Yes. Let's see, David Ricketts. I mean, he did answer this, but what do you think Eric's up to now, like currently?
He's a cowboy.
He's a cowboy. He's John Wayne.
Yeah, he's got a ranch, lives in a trailer, probably about 40 acres, somewhere.
Discovered the multiverse.
And he still has a morpher.
Lots of goats, garden.
That's right.
Anyone invade his ranch, he'll just morph.
I wrote a short that I was gonna get Jason Font to do with me, and I was gonna have Eric Cahill do a guest appearance in where Eric. And so this is the answer to everybody's question: what does Eric do it? I actually wrote a 10-page short that I wanted to shoot. Eric he owns a martial arts school that caters to all the other rangers, and basically, it's not really a martial arts school. They just go there to train against him. They go there to beat him up. Superheroes are superheroes. If they're going to train, they need somebody that can handle the punishment they can give and not hurt them, right? So Eric opens up this training center for the other Rangers, and he's there, and he's there to move with them and let them pound on him, and they pay him for that. They pay him a membership for that. So in this thing I wrote, Jason Font's character, Wes, shows up. They've become a super popular superhero team in this world, and they've become a little bit media savvy. So for Eric, it's like, I'm not into that. I'm not into all that posting and social media agenda and trying to be market myself, right? So he leaves the team, opens up the school, a training center rather, and they come and they beat up on him because they need a workout, and that's cool with him. You know, he's not a part of that. Wes comes back to try to entice him to join the team in this scenario. And then we see them fight each other a little bit. They semi-morph, their gloves come back, their gauntlets come back, and they're fighting with their gauntlets. And they're supposed to be going light, but they're not going light. Their rivalry starts to emerge from the fighting, and they hit a little bit hard, and the walls are cracking and everything. And Wes gets a good workout and goes, all right, man, well, that's it. I'm going to take off. I'll see you another time. This is a great little setup you got here. Yeah, good. And then there's a knock on the door, and he looks up. Aaron Cahill's characters there. You got time for a session? Looks at the clock. Yeah. Little short. We're gonna shoot it. We're gonna make it fun and see what's gonna happen with it.
I have a piece of dialogue that would be really good for it too, and I actually wrote it down.
What?
I have a good piece of dialogue that you would say to Wes in the middle of that fight.
That could be fun. Do you want? Are you just? You want to tell it to me? What?
Yeah, I can tell you. Foolishness, Wes. Mike controls everything. How can you be a ranger and protect others when you can't protect yourself?
Well, Wes gets the better of Eric in this scenario. Almost gets the better of Eric. Remember, Eric's job now is to be a punching bag for the other rangers because they need somebody to train with, and it's just a tough guy kind of thing he does. It's like, you guys can get on me. That's all right.
Yes. Okay. Miguel Rojas says, hi, Greece from Lima, Peru. Oh, hi. Hello. Let's see. Justin Matthew, new guy. Daniel, you piloted the TRXR in Time Force? Yes, he did.
Kind of, sort of. I'm more remote controlled it.
Brandon Stokes says, you haven't changed much. Chonzo Tambuzi, Dan Southworth just got cast in a movie with my friend John Young Bosch. I'm sorry to call him. He called me. Oh.
Yes, that is true. I'm excited he called me immediately. Daniel Southworth just got cast in a movie with my friend and Johnny Bosch. Oh, I guess his friend called him immediately. Okay, I know what movie this is. So this is something else you guys could look forward to. I'm sorry I didn't even make the connection, and I should have done this. I'm joining the cast of an independent film called Get the Girl.
Oh.
That's something you can look forward to. I don't know where it's going to be distributed yet, but that's what that's about. That's what it's talking about. Johnny Bosch is going to be in it, and it's just it's an independent project that looks fun. And as an actor, you got to go out and proactively find ways to do your craft. And I think that the gentleman who is trying to put this film together is a talented fellow. So
I see.
Mind playing around with these guys and being creative with them.
Yes. Our good one of our members, Jen Messina, wants to give us some love. She actually has a crush on you when she was a kid, so there you go, Jen. And she says Quantum Ranger.
Genesis!
He's gonna call me later. He's like, oh my god, thank you so much. Artemis, DC or Marvel?
Marvel.
Favorite Marvel character?
Spider-Man.
Let's go.
As you can see, Dan. But Spider-Man's my favorite character, so I actually had this things for like 15 years.
Awesome.
Yes. Terrell Diggs, Daniel, who's your favorite wrestler?
I collegiate wrestle. So if you're talking about WWE or WWF, I'll tell you who, The Rock. I worked with him on 2 movies. He's an awesome dude. The Rock.
Yes. Zelia Pilskins, a serious question. I made a couple original characters that were created with you in mind for them and take some inspiration from your roles and stuff you've talked about at panels. I want to see you bring them to life. I was wondering what it would take for us to work on an independent film someday.
Well, Zilla, that's a long process. All it takes to work together on an independent film someday is that A, it's a good script, B, it's union, and you got a budget. You don't even have to have a huge budget. The better it is, the less the budget is important sometimes. When you're talking to an actor like myself at this stage of my career. So
Yes.
those are always possibilities, man.
Yes.
If you don't know anything about filmmaking, I would suggest learn anything about filmmaking. And if I'm not an old bastard by the time you're done, it'll have some value for your film.
Oh my god. Richard J. Love Power Rangers time for thought I saw you at NCIS LA a while back. What was NCIS like? Oh,
It was cool, man. I grew up listening to LL Cool J all the time, especially the battle between him and Cool Mo D. LL Cool J doesn't like to talk about rap so much, so I didn't bother him about it when I was on set. But he took a liking to me. He was really nice. Came up to say hello to me personally all the time, and we ended up talking about MMA actually. I was just listening to him more than anything else. He's a sweet man, and it was really freaking kick-ass cool to be able to do a scene with him. And I'm blanking on the other fella's name. This is really Chris O'Donnell. Yes, I did a scene with the two of them, and that was a lot of fun. That was, these are moments where you're acting in a show with people that grew up in your life that had some sort of influence or effect on your development or your ideas, at least then. And I sit there, it's not the first time. I had Joanna Kearns direct me in Light as a Feather. She was the director. I used to watch her on Growing Pains, man, as the mom. There are always moments that are surreal where you go, gosh, this is so cool. But you're in a headspace where you got to keep a handle on it and just be really calm about it, because you got to do your thing too. You got to hold your own in a scene. So it's almost unfortunate that you realize how cool the moment is, but it passes by and it's over. And suddenly you're offset and you're walking home going, man, I just did a scene with LL Cool J. That's nothing. That's something I never ever would have imagined in my life. And one of the nicest fellas I've had a chance to work with. Really, really sweet dude.
right on. Kim Williams. Yes, I know your name now, Kim. Koichi Sakamoto, the unsung hero of Power Rangers history. True that. True that. Eric Sanchez. What was it like to be the first Sixth Ranger to have a vitalizer? They basically have. Oh.
Well, I didn't get to actually use it, so there's nothing I can really say. Yeah, it was cool to see the stunt guy with the battleizer, who was my roommate at the time. Like, guess what, man? I saw Power Rangers. I go, really? That's cool. I'll see you on set then. He says, yeah, I'm doubling you. I'm like, that's crazy. That was my stunt double, because he could do the rollerblades. So the battleizer thing was on the rollerblades.
Let's see. Lazarus Koreatopoulos from Greece. Hello, everyone. Greetings, Daniel, a fan from Greece. Hello? Mason Scherzer, my man. Yes, he is the man. Kylan Smith. They have always been a funny dude on set.
Yes, he has. He's incredibly charismatic fella. Really funny. Really funny.
Yes. Brooke Laura Christensen says, hi, how are you, Daniel?
I'm doing all right. Thank you very much for asking.
Let's see. Oh, Antonio Luis. Oh my god. It's morph time. So Daniel, do you still remember your morph sequence or morph call?
Yeah, it's very easy. Quantum power. It's actually the left wrist. Quantum power.
Actually, Clement actually has your morph.
Whole thing where he spins, but I need a turntable for that.
So yeah. Mylene Francisco says, P-Rex baby.
That's right, baby. Melanie. I know her. I would have expected her to have a sarcastic. Oh, there you go. Have any of your characters died? But in NCIS New Orleans, I get arrested, so I don't die.
and Kenshi never died against Ermac in Mortal Kombat, so...
Mario Sawa. Hi, Daniel. Kombat Cat, I can't believe it. You're one of her favorite characters.
Thank you, Maria.
Yes.
I mean, thank you for the lovely accolade. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. I'm glad it was your favorite character.
Andy Jefferson. Ask Hasbro when we can get Quantum Ranger Lighting collection figure. Yes, we need it. Yeah. Yes. Hey, if Vaughn can get one, you should get one.
To be pretty. I used to be able to talk to the president of production the president of development over there at Hasbro, but they've had some restructuring going on, so I don't have any connections over there at Hasbro anymore where I could just say, hey man,
Where's my toy?
make the Ranger Lightning collection figure, would you?
Yeah, make it. So I can actually put you two together, you two bros together, see?
If it's a chance to sell more product, I'm sure they've got it. They've got it in their agenda, on their agenda.
Hasbro, listen to me. You brought Dan back for the Quantum Ranger and Battle for the Grid. Can we please get a Lightning Collection action figure? Just come on now. Let's go. Stop playing.
Friend.
There has to be able to do this. What the hell? Come on, bring it up. What's up now?
Oh, she says, "Love you, Dan." LOL.
I love you too. Okay, swipe left now.
Oh my god, what's your favorite anime? And I love you so much. I grew up on Power Rangers, your favorite Ranger. Oh, big fan.
Ninja Scroll is my
Yes.
There you go.
I wanted for so long, so desperately to play Jubei Kibagami in Ninja Scroll. I still want to, if I ever get the opportunity. Or Samurai Jack, but those would be really kick-ass roles of a lifetime to get a chance to play. Moving on.
Toyinzu, you consider Eric a Red Ranger? Of course he's a Red Ranger.
Yeah, I do actually.
If he's wearing red,
Color Ranger I play, and the whole mythology behind the Power Rangers, the whole structure and in-house. So people go, "Oh, you did Power Ranger? Oh, yeah. Oh, what color were you?" That's all they know how to ask, right? I'm like, red. I knew it. You're the Red Ranger. I knew I kind of recognized you. And I'm like, no, you don't. You just think I'm Austin St. John because I told you I'm red. So I used to get into the whole thing. Well, technically I play a Red Ranger, but it's the season where I was a 6th Ranger this red. And here's how it works. There's five Rangers, these different colors. Sometimes they switch them up. There's always a 6th guy that comes in. He's kind of aloof at first, then he kind of joins the team. Sometimes he's silver, sometimes he's white, sometimes he's green, sometimes he's, in my case, red and black. And there's red and red. And they just sit there and their eyes gloss over. So I'm just like, Red Ranger. Oh, I knew I recognized you. No, you're thinking of Austin St. John, but whatever. I'm not a jerk. I represent Austin St. John well, then I'm okay.
Zelia Pilskin again. Dan, I'm gonna sound like a nerd, but can you please do the Ultraman and Spectre-Man poses? I unfortunately missed out on that blessing in your last interview.
I did do the Ultraman pose where he takes his thing up, puts the thing in the sky. What is that thing he carries?
The staff?
Huh?
Is that like a sword or a staff?
All I remember is that he would fly to the sun. Kind of look like this. He's flying to the sun. Beep, 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 beep. That little center light would start to activate as he got closer to the sun to get his energy. I don't know. Is that Spectreman or Ultraman? I can't remember. Go to the sun. Ultraman.
Oh, so then.
Do that. Little circle.
So then your friend just said, "Don't do that."
Do this. Don't do this. Don't do the sound effects.
Alright, we'll do two. Oh, there's only a few more. Okay. Ken Brown. Lastly, what would be interesting to have Eric and Adam share a scene together? Oh, you and Young Bosch in one scene.
I'm just gonna make Melanie mad now. I'm just gonna do all kinds of. What would be interesting to lastly, would it be interesting to have Eric and Adam share a scene together? Eric and Adam. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, really.
just have Devil Trigger play in the background.
Yeah. The Vergil and Ichigo go 1-on-1. Just kidding.
It's Vergil and Nero. Ryan, God.
Hey, okay. JD Parks, did you keep anything from the Time Force accessing set and considered you're the badass of the team? Yeah, from the set. Props.
At the end of the year, they do a wardrobe sale.
Oh.
Because the production doesn't hold on to all of that wardrobe. And the Cole. I think it was Cole from Wild Force, right? He was the Red Ranger, Cole. He had these really cool diesel jeans, man. And I was like, damn, those are some badass diesel jeans. And they sold them at the end of the season. And I was there for the wardrobe sale. I bought all 3 or 4 of those things, man. And I wore them for about 4 or 5 years. They were kick-ass. And they had the original red shirt with the lighter red circle and the red star in the center that Austin St. John wore in Forever Red. So I bought that. And when I say I bought them, you can buy them for like $5 a piece or something like that. So I bought all this wardrobe. I bought some of those diesel shoes that they got. And I wore those for a little bit, so that's all I came away from the show with. It, to me, was anything that I think they gave me, as a gift, they gave me one of my Silver Guardian uniforms. So just getting rid of that stuff, and some of it they were boxing away. So they gave me that. That was nice. And I think I got a blaster, but I gave those things away to some kids for their birthdays long ago. Well, keeping that stuff.
Yes. Timmy Drakus says, I hope things will get well soon in the way I can see you at the Ranger Stop Pop at Atlanta, Georgia next year with the other Time Force Rangers for a 20th anniversary reunion.
Yes, I hope so too.
Oh, speaking of Ranger Stop, shout outs to our sponsors, Ranger Stop and Pop and Ranger Stop. So thank you, Mikey, for sponsoring us.
Shout out to Mikey for
Thank you.
Pop.
Yes, thank you. Is there going to be a Time Force reunion episode? Hopefully.
That would be kick-ass. That would be pretty fun to do if there was a Time Force reunion. I personally don't have a crystal ball that I can look into and give you the answers to those questions. I'm not the kind of guy with such a close... You can ask, maybe Jason Fawn might know sometimes. Jason Fawn has a relationship with Chip, who still writes and produces the show in New Zealand, so maybe that's the guy to ask those questions. I don't know. That dude is trained. Jason David Frank is a trained and trained in not I used to call the guys that do all the karate forms dancers. He's not a dancer. He can fight. So, at one point he said if I wanted to, I could come visit him in his gym and we could go train. That would be fun. I mean, to us though, you got to remember, it's not about can I beat you or not. It's about the experience of the training experience. It could be fun. And for some guys it might be. I'm not a competitive guy that way. I don't get that feeling from Jason David Frank either. I get the feeling we could probably get together, move around a little bit, have a good time. We probably have to do it behind some closed doors because people don't know what they're looking at when they're watching that stuff. You get clipped on the chin. Oh, he just punched him in the face. It's not how fighting goes down. A lot of times you're moving and you're rolling with hits and you take hits and it's just part of the game and you get somebody in a good grapple hold and you have to be in a certain mental place where you're not trying to beat your partner up because that's what he is, your training partner, because you've got an ego, but you're just getting a good moving session out of it, and that could be fun to do,
I see.
But neither he or I do that so much anymore. I mean, like I said, when I spar, I primarily box now, and I do it for my cardio because I don't run as much as I used to. And I don't even know if he does that stuff anymore. I know he had a few serious injuries when he was getting ready to compete as an MMA fighter. And sometimes that stuff can just stop you from being able to do anything. So who knows? It will always be a thing. Who knows? But I can say this to you. You know that we both have serious backgrounds because when you ask us about it, it's not like, I don't know. It's just like, yeah, it could be fun. That's what fighters do. I don't know. I won't know until I get in the ring with them. Could be fun,
Right.
But I don't do that anymore. And so even if it was fun, I don't want to get punched in the nose by Jason David Frank because that doesn't feel good. That's part and parcel of when you get in and you mix it up. You're just gonna get hit. So that is the most definitive answer you'll hear me say about Eric versus Tommy. If you're talking about the two characters, I just realized that I probably gave a much more in-depth answer than you. If you're talking about the two characters, Eric versus Tommy, That's gonna be fun to watch. Those are both intense characters, man.
I say Eric. Why? He has friends in the future. They can help him out.
That's true. I can always go back in time to when Tommy's a little boy and smack him. Give him his face, and then when we meet up again in the future, he just pees his pants or something.
just baiting Thanos.
It's an unfair question to ask as it relates to the characters. As it relates to the two actors.
Yes. Zilia Pilskin says, Dan, thank you immensely for keeping me safe and laughing during the days and nights I'm at my weakest. You're so damn awesome. Aww.
Man, I'm very glad that you're able to get something from all of this silliness here.
Awesome. All right, guys. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that is it. So thank you guys for watching this awesome interview with Daniel Southworth, man, the legend. So Dan, before we leave, where can they find you in social media?
Instagram, my Instagram, @Dan_Southworth. I'm up to a lot of things. That's where you can find me the most right now. I try to get over onto Twitter and put some stuff on there, but I'm just not on Twitter. I'm almost on the verge of getting rid of all my social media accounts because to me it's just too much of a pain in the ass to keep trying to make sure I'm putting stuff up there. But for right now, Instagram is solid @Dan_Southworth is a good place to find me. I'm rarely on the Facebook fan page that's out there. I just don't have time. I mean, I only have a Facebook account so that I can go over to that and respond to some of the things there, but I'm just too busy for that kind of stuff. Instagram is easy for me. So you'll catch me most active on Instagram, and I'm pretty active on there. I'm at least active on there once a week at the least. Sometimes I go a few weeks because I don't want to just bombard you with a bunch of stupid stuff. Me eating breakfast or me having a drink somewhere or a slice of pizza. That's just, what the hell is that stuff, man? I wait till I can put something entertaining up. So if you go through all of my posts, they're all entertaining. At least I think they are. They get a lot of views and likes, and I try to keep my account entertaining for you. Okay, I've recently scrubbed through there and gotten rid of a lot of stuff that has less likes, so that I can sort of focus and figure out what it is that the people who are following that Instagram account like the most and try to post more of that kind of stuff. So I'm paying attention. When you post stuff, I'll answer you back. I can't answer everybody, but I will answer some people. And when something's really funny, you'll get a response from me, you know? I'm reading that stuff. So Instagram is going to be active. You may get some response from me or contact from me through that. Don't try to DM me. People try to DM me and send me stuff. I do not DM the people on my public account. I keep everything open and in front of everybody. Okay. There are people I do DM with, but that's because I've met them and we've been friends for a while. You know, but you're not going to know that. You don't get to see who's DMing. I don't follow people unless I've met them in person.
Right.
And know them. So don't be offended if I'm not following people back. I make it a point only to follow people I know or have a relationship with. So that's how that Instagram works. Okay, but I will answer you back from time to time.
Right on. Oh, Jay, one more. Jay Batulan. We appreciate anything you put up, Dan, silly or not.
Thanks, man.
It's Jay Batulan. So, and Clement, where can they find you in social media?
You guys can find me on Instagram, cloud1031, or Facebook. I'm always around the Morphin network, so I'm easily found.
And Leo, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, the Reckless_Fox, YouTube, Reckless_Fox, and find all Malay's game content on twitch.tv/RecklessFox. And myself and a few Morphin Network guys, we do our own video game podcast. Find us on SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, and Spotify at Scroll Club Gaming. And Ryan, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram, DanceBoy7, and please follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Morphin Network. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for this awesome interview. Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Well, that was a lot of fun, you guys. Great
Yes.
job.
All right, guys, we'll do a goodbye wave. Bye.